Welcome back, PEZ collectors. If you've been watching my videos, I talk a lot about Steve Glew, aka the PEZ Outlaw, and I recently went to the Michigan PEZ convention where I had the chance to interview him, and it wasn't something I was planning, it was something just that kind of happened. So I have an interview with Steve Glew, aka the PEZ Outlaw, and if you're thinking to yourself, I don't know who Steve Glew is, well, I'm going to tell you more about who Steve Glew is and why he's important to the PEZ collecting community, because this goes back to the late 90s, early 2000s when Steve Glew, had all this stuff going on with the PEZ collecting community. So you might not have collected back then. I fortunately did collect back then, and I have a lot of memories and a lot of experiences with Steve Glew, so I think that's pretty fun. I like that about, my PEZ collecting journey, that I have those memories about Steve Glew and buying from him at conventions and, meeting him and stuff in the past. So this video is going to be split up into a couple different parts. First off, I'm going to talk about who Steve Glew is, and then I'm going to talk about the PEZ Outlaw movie, and I'm going to give a review about the PEZ Outlaw movie because I watched it and I really enjoyed it. Oh, spoilers about my review. So stick around for my review of the PEZ Outlaw movie. I did buy one of the PEZ Outlaw, not a PEZ dispensers that I'm going to be showing on this video as well, and I will talk about all the other not a PEZ dispensers that exist as well. So that should be fun. And then to finish off this video, I'm going to share my one-on-one interview with Steve Glew, aka the PEZ Outlaw, and you'll learn a little bit more about Steve Glew in that interview, and he's going to talk more about the PEZ Outlaw movie. And it's alright if you haven't seen the PEZ Outlaw movie, because I'm not going to give too many spoilers about the movie. I will maybe touch on a couple different points throughout this video, but I don't think there's anything too major spoilery that I'm going to be talking about. And if you do want to learn more about the video, you can always reach out to me on social media and we could talk about it there, because there is more to Steve Glew and the PEZ Outlaw, and I'm just going to touch on little bits and pieces here throughout this video. Otherwise I might be here for hours. There's just so much. The new Sour Blue Raspberry Mascot just dropped on PEZ.com, and it's pretty cute looking. So I was able to buy one, and I told my sister and my dad about it, and I also posted it on my Instagram and Facebook. So if you're not following me on Instagram or Facebook, follow me, because if I know that there's something new dropped on PEZ.com, I always promote it so everybody is able to get it. Hopefully I can help you out in buying these limited releases. Okay, well that was pretty fun. Let's get back to Steve Glew, the PEZ Outlaw. So like I said, at the Michigan PEZ convention, I got the opportunity to meet Steve Glew, aka the PEZ Outlaw, and from now on, I'm just gonna call him Steve. Because saying that is too long. If you don't know who Steve Glew is, he was responsible for bringing in 1 to 2 million PEZ dispensers that PEZ International made into the United States, because if you're not familiar, PEZ International is over in Austria, and then PEZ USA is here in the United States in Connecticut, and they're both ran off of PEZ Austria. That's like the main company, but they have to distribute the candies in the different countries. So there's also a PEZ company in the United States here, and they don't always sell the same PEZ dispensers, which is kind of crazy, but I guess it kind of makes it more interesting if you're a PEZ collector, because it's not like you can just go out and easily buy the PEZ dispensers. You have to hunt them down. There might be a story to it. You make some friends overseas that, can help you trade, or you buy from them as well. So it kind of makes PEZ collecting a little bit more fun. But Steve had the crazy idea to go over to the PEZ factories and buy directly from the PEZ factories, and then bring those PEZ back in duffel bags to the United States and sell to PEZ collectors here. Now, nobody was doing this back then, and as I said in the beginning of the video, this started in the late 90s and it went on to the early 2000s. So Steve had a lot of experience with like cereal boxes and other toy collectibles, and I guess he saw the opportunity to buy massive amounts and bring them back over and sell them to PEZ collectors here. And eBay was around back then, but it was nothing like it is now, and like the internet, and I don't think Facebook existed back then. Pretty sure it didn't. But it wasn't as easy, to buy and sell PEZ like it is now, like all over the world online. So Steve really made a huge impact on the PEZ collecting community especially here in the United States, since he brought all those PEZ dispensers in that, we couldn't easily get in the United States, at this time. So I think that's what kind of makes Steve very interesting and very important to the PEZ collecting community, because this was something totally different that nobody was doing. And it was huge, massive amounts. I mean, I said 1 to 2 million dispensers that he ended up bringing over here. But, I mean, just think of how much money that was. Well, Steve bought the PEZ from the PEZ factories and sold them here in the United States for a while. But I guess that didn't, satisfy him enough, because then he had the idea of creating his own color variations of PEZ dispensers that already exist. And those go on to become named Misfits. So if you've heard of Misfits PEZ dispensers, these are the Steve Glew PEZ dispensers, but he didn't actually end up calling them Misfits himself. That came from PEZ USA, and that's a whole another story that I'm not going to spoil, because I do want you to go watch the PEZ Outlaw movie. And you can go on Steve's blog, I'll link it down in the description here, and you can read all about the history of this without seeing the movie. But I really want you to go see the movie because I think it was really worth it. And right now the movie is only being shown at film festivals, so I was lucky that when the Cleveland Film Festival happened, I was able to buy a ticket for the online streaming. I think it was $10 to stream it online. And a lot of the people in the PEZ community were able to watch it that way. And also when I went to the Michigan PEZ Convention, they were able to show the PEZ Outlaw movie at the Michigan PEZ Convention, which I thought was really amazing and really awesome that they were even able to do that. I don't even know how they made it happen, but I do know the host of the Michigan PEZ Convention, Jim Blaine, he had a pretty big role in helping out making the PEZ Outlaw movie even exist. Because I know a lot of it was shot at the Michigan PEZ Convention Hotel, where they have the convention. Because as I was watching the PEZ Outlaw, I was like, oh, that looks like, probably the place that they have the Michigan PEZ Convention. But when I went to the Michigan PEZ Convention this year, I was like, this is totally the place where they shot the PEZ Outlaw movie, and I thought that was really cool. Not all of it shot at the hotel, just bits and pieces of it. So going back to these Misfits, the color variations of the PEZ, Steve says that he spent $500,000 on this order to get these color variations PEZ. I do have a lot of them here to show you real quick, but I do want to make a video later showing more of them, or maybe talking about them more in depth. So I'm just going to show you a few of them that I have. I do have more than these, but I just grabbed some of them that I really like that I want to share. So first off here I have a DETYS, and what do you think that stands for? Here you go. I mean, the snowman is yellow, so DETYS stands for Don't Eat the Yellow Snow. Which is super silly, but I love it. And this snowman, see how it's a yellow head and then it has the white hat and then the green stem? So there is just a basic snowman. It has the black hat, the white head, and then a black stem, and then the nose is orange. So this is what you would call a Misfit PEZ dispenser because of the different color variation. I have that one. This one's called the Voodoo Mama. It's basically just a witch with a black face, and then the hair is white and the hat is orange and the stem is blue. Crazy names. Then there's Pinky PEZ. This one just has the pink head, the black snout, and then the yellow stem, which is really cute. I like that one. Then there's the Mextex Santa. This is the Hispanic Santa, which I think looks really nice. Santa has the white hat and then same white beard, but the skin color is just a little bit darker, and then the stem color is a nice green color. I like this one a lot. Then there's the David W. PEZ dispenser. And this one's named after David Welch. It's an homage to David Welch, being a dealer and a collector in the PEZ community. So I think that's really cool. And then you might remember these bears, because I opened these on an unboxing video not too far back. This brown-headed bear is called Cody Bear or Bear C. And then this one's called Donna Bear or Bear D, and it has the black head. I recently found these two I'm going to show you next in my PEZ treasure chest, which I have a video opening that up as well. I'll link that down below in the description. This is the Diablo PEZ, and it's the skull. It's just a black skull on a red stem. And these are even more cool, I think, because it's actually on the PEZ International cards. So you know for sure that these were actually Steve PEZ that were brought back. I mean, all these other ones are for sure as well. But there are reasons I haven't talked about that PEZ USA ends up making a lot of these PEZ dispensers and selling them here in the United States in that little mail-away form that you could have done. So that's why, if you find them on these PEZ International cards, you know for sure that these are Steve Glew ones. I think this is even more special. So I also have the Jaundice Witch. And this witch just has a yellow face and then the white hat and white stem and a lighter brown hair. I don't know, the names are really funny. So also to PEZ history, Steve is also responsible for getting PEZ to make crystal PEZ heads. So check it out, there's the David W. PEZ dispenser. And see how the head is a crystal red? So when I say crystal, it's just a clear plastic that they use. You can see through it if you hold it up, especially if you hold it up to the light. So these are really cool, I think, in my opinion. But PEZ before Steve, they didn't make these crystal ones, and he actually called it crystal as well, which I think is a really fun name for him. And Steve is also responsible for getting PEZ to make glow-in-the-dark PEZ dispensers, which I don't have any of like the Steve exclusive ones, but let me show you real quick. The glow-in-the-dark PEZ that PEZ makes are usually the Halloween ones, and here's one of the ghosts that glow. The head glows on there. That's pretty cool. Steve Glew, he wears the bunny slippers to the PEZ convention, so I do have these bunny slippers shoes I could put on one of these, and I did show these in a video where I unboxed them as well. Larry Mason, he actually 3D prints these bunny slippers. I'll put a link in the description below as well if you actually want to buy some of these bunny slippers. I just think they're really cool, and I like having some bunny slippers on some of my PEZ. You'll see these bunny slippers in the interview because Steve Glew is actually wearing them in the interview, which I like a lot. So these are just some of the Misfits PEZ dispensers. He's responsible for even more of these. There's different color variations, so like all of these. And when I say color variations, it's usually the stem color variation mostly, and then there's crystal ones, and then he's responsible for like a bunch of the like PEZ Pals, the body part ones. Remember when I did the body parts PEZ Pals video and I didn't have like a lot of the PEZ Pals, like the hair color variation ones? Well, he's responsible for a lot of those as well. So there's just so much more. I could just talk about like these variations all day in a video. So if you want to learn even more about these PEZ or more about Steve Glew or the PEZ Outlaw or any of the PEZ that he's responsible for bringing in, or just any history behind any of this I'm talking about today, I'll put a link in the description below. And especially I'll put a link down below that goes directly to the Misfits page on his blog as well, because it talks, I think, mainly about these PEZ, which I find fascinating. So hopefully you enjoy that as well. But there's so much on that blog, you could just read it all day, you know, for days and probably not even get through it all. He writes a lot and he shares like everything. He doesn't hide anything either. So I think that's pretty cool. So on his blog, you might see him refer to these as Misfits or the Color Wars. He refers to it as that as well. And you'll learn more about that on his blog. So long story short, Steve's journey, like bringing these Misfits in, didn't end the way that you would think. Like, you know, it seems like a really great time. You know, he's buying PEZ from PEZ International. He's making these huge orders. He ended up spending $500,000 with PEZ International, bringing in these Misfits PEZ, and because he bought these, he had also buy and bring in a lot of other PEZ, not just these like color variations ones. PEZ also made him buy PEZ that PEZ International was just selling. You know, that was included in the deal, I think, to get these. So he had to spend $500,000, and this story doesn't end up, you know, happy in the way that you would think it would. You know, he sells these out, and you know, all the PEZ collectors are happy and everything. The story doesn't end good at all. I mean, I don't know if I want to spoil it all the way, but something happens and he ends up burning and melting all the PEZ that he has, like all his inventory left. I'm not going to tell you how it gets to that part, but it doesn't end well, and it's a very sad story even because there was so much money on the line, and it's Steve's reputation, you know, Steve's livelihood with his family even, that just, you know, all goes south really quick. So I just wanted to give a quick review on the PEZ Outlaw movie. I thought the PEZ Outlaw movie was really great. I really enjoyed it, and it went above and beyond what I was even expecting for a PEZ movie. And I think one of the best parts was Steve played himself. You know, they didn't hire an actor. They took him. He talks about it in the interview where they dye his beard, and you know, he plays himself, so he knows himself the best, I think, out of anybody, and he actually does a really good job. He's not an actor or anything, but I think he portrays himself really well, and I think he does a really good job. And also because of the directors. So the PEZ Outlaw was directed by Brian and Amy Storkel, and they usually do documentary movies, and it sounds like they don't usually do like these fun, more upbeat documentary movies. So I think when they came across this PEZ genre. I think they jumped on it probably really quick because it was something different, which I think the Storkels also did a really great job directing it. And by the time I was done watching it, I didn't really think like, oh, this was like a super boring documentary movie. I mean, maybe because I am into PEZ, I'm more biased that way. But the whole movie was super entertaining, and you know, everything that was happening in the movie, you know, like it was suspenseful, it was happy, it was sad, you know, lots of emotions going on as well. And then there was also PEZ, you know, thrown in that I love and I can relate to. So I think that really helped out with the movie. And as I was watching the movie, I was like, man, this story just seems a little exaggerated, but apparently it's not. I asked Steve about it. I asked John Devlin about it. He's a well-known PEZ collector in the PEZ community as well, and he knows Steve personally, and I think he can vouch more for Steve's actions because he knew him back during this time that, you know, all this was going down. So he knew that these encounters that were happening and, you know, what Steve was going through were real. So I think that kind of like solidifies the facts in this movie, which I think that's really helpful because as I was watching it, I was like, man, this can't be true. Like, it just seems a little too exaggerated, but it is. And I think that's what makes the movie, you know, even more fun and enjoyable because it is kind of out there. I don't think what Steve did is something that, you know, most people would do. I mean, I think he's a very small percentage of people who would actually, you know, chance his money, you know, his reputation, and go out and buy all these PEZ and bring them back. I mean, that's not something that, you know, not everybody is able to even do. But there's more to the PEZ Outlaw movie. It's not just a movie about buying and selling PEZ. It's also a love story. I mean, you get to see more of Steve's wife and his family. His son used to go over with him to the PEZ factories and help him bring back PEZ. And I think that's really neat because you get to see that, you know, like family dynamic and how much Steve is actually loved by his family and motivated to keep, you know, going on these crazy adventures. So you got the love story with his wife and his family, and then there's the espionage part to the movie, and then there's also a fun side to the PEZ story, and then there's a dark side to the PEZ story, which is very interesting to me because you think, you know, like PEZ, you know, PEZ, so much fun, but, you know, it's not just all fun and games in the end. And I think that kind of helps round out the story because, you know, it doesn't end the way that you would hope that it did. And I say that there is a dark side of PEZ because PEZ USA and Steve Glew, they didn't see eye to eye at all. But when I think about it, I don't know why the PEZ USA didn't work with Steve, you know, to come up with some of these ideas together, you know, and sell these through PEZ USA, because he had some really good ideas, it seems like. I mean, I like these. I don't know if, you know, normal PEZ buyers, you know, just like going to the grocery store would like these, but I think PEZ collectors really loved them. So I don't know why they didn't just work with Steve instead of like against Steve. So all in all, I really did enjoy the PEZ Outlaw movie. I highly recommend it. You can't just go out and watch it easily right now. You're gonna have to wait until, you know, somebody picks it up and buys it. Maybe, you know, it might be on Netflix or, I don't know, Hulu or something. Hopefully, you know, cross your fingers so they can distribute this movie and more people are able to watch it. But, you know, keep an eye out for some of these film festivals to have a streaming part, because that's how I was able to watch it. And if I do see that any film festivals are going to have streaming for the PEZ Outlaw movie, I'll post it on my social media, so follow me. After I watched the PEZ Outlaw movie, I just couldn't stop thinking about it for a couple days. It just really, you know, got my mind going. You know, brought back a lot of memories about my PEZ collecting, you know, back when I first started, which I really enjoyed. Well, there's so much more to Steve's story. Again, I'll put a link in the description below to Steve's blog, and you can read more about it. It just goes way more in depth than, you know, I have time here to talk about. Well, hopefully you learned a little bit more about Steve Glew, aka the PEZ Outlaw, during this segment. Next up, I'm going to show you the unboxing of when I bought the PEZ Outlaw, not a PEZ dispenser. Because I was really excited to get this and add this to my collection. And oh, it is signed by Steve himself. And also, I do have this bear, this Donna bear. See there how it's signed by Steve Glew? So this is cool. So let me roll this clip and I'll be right back. With all the hype around the PEZ Outlaw movie, I did go on eBay and buy myself a PEZ Outlaw PEZ dispenser. Oh, I shouldn't call it a PEZ dispenser. The eBay listing says Golden Boy PEZ Outlaw collectible, not a PEZ dispenser. I saw quite a few members from the PEZ community on Facebook that bought these. I thought they were really neat, so I wanted to add one to my collection. Let's open it up. can't wait any longer. I've had this maybe for a week or two, just waiting to open it on the video here, and I have to open it. It's all wrapped up real nice in this bubble wrap. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I like it a lot. Check that out. It is a gold PEZ Outlaw, not a PEZ dispenser. And I'm looking at it, I don't think the head tilts back. I don't want to push on it. So I was editing the video and I kept thinking, I thought this was supposed to be signed. So I went back and looked at the eBay listing and checked this out. This is really cool. I didn't want to pull up the head before because I was really nervous about breaking it, but check this out. It comes right out. It comes apart. There you go, check it out. It's signed PEZ Outlaw on that side. And then on this side is signed Steve J. Glew. I also noticed that the head does tilt back. When everything's put together here, the head only tilts a little bit, but when you pull it out just a little bit, then it tilts back. So I don't think it can actually dispense a pack of candy. But I do have some candy here. That doesn't seem like it will hold the candy either. Just a little too narrow. But I wouldn't want to put candy in this anyway. And of course, you can't have the PEZ Outlaw without the bunny slippers. Love it. This is really nicely done for 3D printing. I mean, I don't know anything about 3D printing, but I see a lot of 3D printed stuff on TikTok and Etsy and stuff like that you can buy. And this looks to be really nice. I like it a lot. And there were some other colors that you can buy them in. I'll put a picture here on the screen. But I saw the gold one, and you know I'm all about the gold PEZ dispensers, and so I had to buy this one. You all know the story about the PEZ Outlaw by now, and I just have to say that Steve Glew, the PEZ Outlaw, he just cannot stop making PEZ dispensers. Oh, I mean, not a PEZ dispenser. It is super nice. I do like it a lot. I did pay $30 for this, and I did notice on eBay he has risen the price. I think they're going for $40 now, and I think that's just because there's such a high demand for them that he's just raising the price for them a little bit. It's time to get back to the PEZ Outlaw review. What did you think about this? Not a PEZ dispenser? And did you notice how it has the gold bunny slippers as well? Just like the little white ones here. Well, are you ready to see my interview with Steve Glew? I've been wanting to share this with you since I went to the Michigan PEZ convention. Well, I thought it was really great that Steve actually let me, interview him and ask me questions that I wanted to, because he does talk more in depth about like his mental health issues. I was able to ask him more about, PEZ and, stuff that came up in my mind after I watched the PEZ Outlaw movie. So I thought it was really nice of him to let me interview him. So hopefully you enjoy this as well. So let's roll that interview. I've met you like a long, long time ago. Where? Probably just don't remember. Like in St. Louis, at the St. Louis PEZ convention.
No doubt.
I remember the first PEZ convention I went to, like back in the 90s, you had a room and it was just like full of like huge boxes of PEZ, like a giant room.
Oh, we used to bring a 2-ton truck.
Yeah.
Cube.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
Fun memories back then.
St. Louis was always one of my favorite conventions back then. John Cool PEZ Van Dublin ran it, and just more heart than you can imagine.
Yeah, he's super nice.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's a good guy to know. Yeah, we saw your movie already. We watched it at the Cleveland, like we streamed it, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was really great. I liked it.
It was a lot of fun to make.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Everybody, they think, you're going to be all in front of a camera and whatever, and I just love it. I love the experience.
I was surprised because for a while there I was like, is that Steve playing himself?
Yeah.
And then he was like, yeah, too. And I was like, oh yeah, that, like, you were so good. It just seemed like you were just like a hired actor.
If you stood in front of me with that, we rolled it, and then dye. Spray on, actually a spray on like Christmas, but black. If you were standing in front of me, it was like, but it filmed really well.
Yeah.
Movie magic.
Yeah. I love making the movie. Brian and Amy are just amazing people.
They did a really good job, like with the documentary style and everything. After I watched it, I just kept thinking about the movie like all night, and for a couple of days I was like, this is a very interesting story. I liked it a lot.
I was very lucky to end up with them. We had about 5 different offers, and through the miracle of things that happen good in your life, we decided to work with them. And they're just amazing people. And the whole thing, I mean, prior to this film, it'd been about somebody murdered somebody, cocaine, or whatever, and people that you just don't like. And so for them, it was like a breath. They were able to take a breath. And how deep they went into the characters. Being compulsive obsessive, I write a lot. And then I tag more on that's unneeded. So when you try to find the real story within it, you got to do some digging.
So do you think it's a little exaggerated, or is it pretty accurate?
No. The only exaggeration is in you had to add color, because for people to feel what the character felt, me, you had to dress out what was going on in my head also. And so what looks to be imaginary is actually what was in my mind while I was doing it. So it was very important. I mean, you got people coming down like ninjas from the rafters in the factory while I'm reading a book and poking me with a gun. And I mean, but that is where I was at. And the same goes with a lot of other scenes. In order for, like the border crossing scene, in order for you to feel the character's emotion, you needed the guns. Well, they were there. I mean, there was machine guns, tanks, the whole bit.
Yeah, when you pulled up in the car at the border and all those guys were there, I kind of wished I would have like seen what they were actually doing. I was like, oh, what's actually going on? It really got me. Like
that, and also you can't film every experience. So you have to take highlights from several and put them all in one so that you can convey the story in one shot.
But it'd be neat to like go back or look through history and see what was going on in that area, like and learn more about that, because it's just so interesting to me, like because you experience that time, the history that most people that are younger, they might not experience that. So
in 1988 is when the wall, I think 88, 87 is when the wall came down. And everything in life travels 5 years. So the entire frame of mind by the people living in Hungary especially was still all about that. And everywhere you went, there were fragments, not just old buildings, the big towers with the gun towers, but also fragments of behavioral patterns by different officials that were still playing the same game they played a decade earlier. Yeah, I had a very unique experience. It was fun.
Crazy.
It was fun.
I love the like Willy Wonka-esque of the PEZ factory when you arrived there. That was probably my favorite scene of the movie.
Again, we went up, there was a balcony. We looked down on the floor of the factory, and what we were seeing and the dream we were seeing was what they had to convey. So they leaned into something familiar to everybody to help them understand, again, what I was feeling. I mean, we could have stood there all day. It was the most beautiful thing you ever seen, all those people working and doing what they were doing.
It was a lot of fun.
So, and he tried to make it playful and innocent. I mean, within the movie there are probably, I'd always say this, but probably 10 good threads. Love, mental health issues. Don't give up in life. Keep fighting for what you believe in. Keep trying to be a better person, a better human being, on and on and on. And I love all those threads. This is where I get lost and John squares me away.
Like the philosophy of it?
The movie is, to me, I've never seen it.
Oh, you haven't watched it?
No, I never will.
Whoa.
It would change. It would change me. I don't look in mirrors either.
Really?
Well, I do with my beard. This is my pride and joy. But I need to be able to be with you without that. And share the story. I mean, I've seen it because we filmed it, and I was in pretty much every scene. So I've seen it.
Yeah, you experienced it yourself. Yeah. And you actually experienced it.
Yeah.
I have one question for you before I let you go. Yeah. So did you really like burn or melt all the dispensers?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Yes, I did.
Do you regret it?
No. It was, everything in life happens for a reason.
Yeah.
In order to move from one point to another point, sometimes things that aren't great have to be done so that you can walk away.
Yeah.
My whole journey as a person has been changed. You meet a lot of guys and they'll say, forgive me, she knew who I was when she met me. I don't understand what she's going on about. Well, to me, that is, forgive me, stupidity. My whole journey has been about change, becoming a better person. I seek it. I want it bad.
Yeah.
I wasn't born as nice a person as my son-in-law Matt.
Yeah.
I mean, genuinely a decent guy. John Devlin, genuinely a decent person. I've had to work on who I am to become somebody worth knowing. And when we went to Milwaukee, we were coming out from the showing, and there was a girl standing here, and she was, you could see it in her face and her eyes after seeing the film. And, you know, it just like, I had a lot of things I was supposed to be doing, but I stopped and spent like 15, 20 minutes with her because she was at the heart of the struggle that you deal with, depression, anxiety, all of it. That's how important that is to me. I want people in my writing, I share everything and not ashamed at all, because I want people out there to know you're not alone. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and you can work through these things. It's a everyday strive for change.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that aspect and everything. So
I do too. Actually, after making this, Brian Storkel and Amy were approached by well, I can't say who. Someday if I said it, you would go, oh my God. They were approached to do a mental health clip.
Yeah.
And I thought, that would be great. I said, well, you know, if you need me, I'm there.
Yeah.
You know, no money. Let's do this.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they need me to do it, to be honest with you.
Especially with these last couple of years, I think everybody has stuff that they're dealing with.
And everybody feels so alone.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with depression, you feel alone, like you're the only person. And TV commercials are horrible because they portray it as this agonizing thing. Well, that wasn't helpful. It might be, but it wasn't helpful. I got fortunate enough to meet my wife, and she helped guide me and take me through this. Little gentle nudges, words, and things. And you become a better person, and you learn how to deal with it. My depressions used to last about 7 days. Now we're down to about a day and a half, or even a half a day.
Yeah.
And they cycle monthly. Every month about this time of the full moon.
Yeah.
But once you're aware of this type of thing when it's happening in your life, how is that useful? Well, you know what you're dealing with, you know what you're in, so quit talking. Don't share, because everything you say is going to be colored so wrong. And understand that, well, what time is it? Okay, I got about 3-4 more hours. Or if it, you know, in life, okay, I got 3 more days, I'll be all right. And then sunshine will be here and we'll feel better.
Yeah, you just have to keep working through it. And
you do, and it's an important part. But unfortunately, people that are dealing with mental issues are dealing with not just one. Usually there's a whole cast of characters involved: schizophrenia, depression, obsessive compulsive behavioral patterns. In my writing, I've tried to explain to people what you do is don't look at these as bad things. Look at them as, these are your superpowers.
Yeah, yeah.
That movie would never have been made if I was not obsessive compulsive. That nature was the drive. I used that as a tool. I didn't run from it. I ran to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I know you have your blog that you write, and you're on Facebook. Do you want to share it with our viewers, like how they can find you and learn more about you?
You have a blog page, 2 of them. You'll find PEZ Outlaw Diary is the cleaner easier thing. Notes from the Asylum is, it's like going into a room and then just picking at that and trying to understand it.
Yeah.
And walking around in there. I like that. I like that about that. But the cleaner storyline is PEZ Outlaw Diary.
I'm pretty sure I've read a bunch of the PEZ Outlaw Diary, especially I'd like to learn like what PEZ that you're responsible for like bringing in and stuff. Like it just amazes me like how many PEZ dispensers you're actually to bring over.
I did. That we actually designed and brought in. Yeah. It was a lot. And it was quite a blow. So when they reproduced everything in 1998, it was quite a blow, and that's when we burned all that stuff.
I can't believe it.
And that actually happened. So it's a wonderful story. I really believe in it. I think it's going to do well, but everything takes time.
Yeah, hopefully somebody picks it up and more people can see it.
Yes, that's the thing I've learned over the last 20 years is a degree of patience. I find I'm more patient than the producer and director.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell them, don't worry about it, we're good.
Yeah.
It's a good product. It'll find a home. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I don't know if movies have like a shelf life on how long they can, promote them to get bought, or like if there's terms or conditions and stuff like that. So they're probably
we have offers.
Let's go.
We're waiting for the right offer.
Okay.
We've had offers of other natures for future projects, but it's all about what's right and when it's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good luck to selling it.
Yeah.
And check out his bunny slippers.
The bunnies.
Bunny shirt.
Well, that's what it's all. Time to bunny up. My son-in-law Matt coined that phrase.
I like it.
Bunny up.
Bunny up.
Bunny
up, buddy.
Yeah. And you still selling the stuff on eBay?
Yeah.
Still have stuff in stock?
Yeah, I am. I'm hoping to sell out of t-shirts this weekend.
Okay.
And it's rather hit and miss. Facebook is the biggest place that I really operate. I love communicating with people on Facebook. It's like the first thing I click every morning. It's the last thing I click before I shut down. I really love Facebook. That's a good place to find me and join and whatever.
Well, it was nice talking to you. Well, let me know in the comments below what you thought of that interview. If you have any more questions about, this PEZ Outlaw movie or Steve Glew, comment down below and let's continue this conversation there, because I think there is so much more to it than, what I touched on even in this video. And I think, people might want to know or talk about it or discuss any questions or, things that might pop in their head as they're watching this as well. So let's continue it down in the comments below. So hopefully you learned a little bit more about PEZ history today, because I think Steve was a huge part of, reasons why we have some stuff like, crystals or glow in the dark. I mean, PEZ probably would have came up with these ideas eventually, but I think he, got the ball rolling, and we might have got it a lot earlier than, what PEZ could have done or did themselves. So I think that's really neat. I just think the Steve Glew story needs to be told. I mean, if you like it or you don't like it, or if you believe it or you don't believe it, I think it's still a huge part, the PEZ history. And I think that it's something that kind of needs to last, because this was back, in the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, that was over 20 years ago now. So that's one of the reasons I like to make these videos, is because, there's not a whole lot of PEZ history documentation out there. There's a couple really good books that you should read, but video form, there's not a whole lot. So I just want to make sure that, stuff stays in the PEZ history over the years, stuff's documented, and I think that's a really good reason to make this video today. If you enjoyed this video, just give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button, because I will be talking more and more about PEZ collecting. So if you want to learn more about PEZ collecting, then you're going to learn it from watching my videos for sure. I think you probably learned something today. And, I'm always talking about like new PEZ or vintage PEZ, or, like what's being released. Like how I just showed the sour blue Mascot that was released. They might still be for sale when this video comes out, so good luck and hopefully you find one for sale. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye!
I write to you in poetry with words left on the shelf. Full of dust, you'll know it's me, and from nowhere